Welcome to the Adjunct CEO podcast with your host, the Adjunct CEO, Dean Akers. Tips, ideas, and interviews with top leaders to help you and your business when results matter.
Well, welcome back to the Adjunct CEO. This is Dean Akers again, and I had a great week this week. I want to thank everybody out there that has downloaded the previous 6 episodes. We've got a really good following. If you haven't, get on that iTunes and subscribe today. You'll get automatic updates, and we're hoping this is a great value to each and every one of you out there. I do know this. I'm getting emails at help@adjunctceo.com. That's help@adjunctceo.com. And I think the real value in this podcast is kind of learning or stimulating the thoughts to where you want to ask more questions and get more help. And again, at no charge, I'm here for you to give you some advice and insights in sales, operations, and finance. Today's episode is going to be kind of a fun episode because we talk a lot about sales, and I'm a kind of a sales freak. I love to hypergrowth sales. And I'm going to be kind of upset at you out there if you're listening today and you haven't taken your piece of paper out and done your 3 circles. And oh, by the way, I'm here on the other end of a microphone, so if you don't do it, I'll never know. But I really encourage you to take the time to take those 3 circles out, put your sales in circle 1, the market sales in circle 3 of the market you're in, and then also in circle 1, the known lost sales you lost, where they actually purchased from somebody else. Subtract that from circle 3 and put that total in circle 2. That's the business you're only losing for one reason. You're not even on the deal. So we're never going to let up on that concept, and with some of the continued episodes on how that's going to play out for you and how to actually put that to work for you where you can actually convert that into revenue and profits. But the topic today really kind of caught me by surprise in the last week. I've run into a number of my CEO partners that listen to the show, and they are appreciative of the sales advice, and they joke with me and say, I got my 3 circles. Don't worry, Dean, I got my 3 circles. And that's all fun, and I'm glad to know that we're really helping some folks out there. That especially means a lot to me. That being said, I had probably 3 different individuals in the past week make a comment to me about, or call it an excuse or whatever you want, to the extent they said, well, okay, Dean, the economy's just booming right now. Unemployment's right around 4%. And for those out there, economic majors, you know that 4% is statistical total employment. So it's a very robust economy from an employment standpoint, which leads to the how do I find good people? And so they're saying, well, now if I go get these hyper sales, Dean, and I really start getting the sales you're talking about and my people start bringing them in, I don't have the people to service them, and, there's nobody out there, and it's hard to find them. And of course, they're using that as an excuse. And some of you listening right now are going and saying, shaking your head, going, no, Dean, it's for real. You don't understand. And quite frankly, I do understand. I've been in some bull markets, where employees are hard to come by in previous businesses I've had. So on today's show, I'm going to share with you some programs that have worked for me highly successful and allowed me to have lobbies full of people applying to work for companies I've been involved with, even when employment rates are low, even when there aren't people out there. And these techniques really, really, really work. And when they work, bottom line is they work. So let's get started today on how do I find good people, retain good people, and have people really want to be on my team. Well, I'm going to share with you the tips that I use. Probably the first thing I do is that old adage, take care of the one you love. So if you're a company and you have 10 employees or 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 employees or whatever amount of employees you have, the first thing that you need to do as an executive, and quite frankly, this works if you're in sales, because you want to have your team supporting you. You're like a player on the field. You want to have everybody in support really wanting you to win too. So at the end of the day, it's really important that your current team is 110% behind the successes of the company, your successes as the CEO, or your successes in sales as a sales manager, salesperson, or whatever. So one of the first techniques I do when I go into a company is I do a organizational climate questionnaire. Now that probably sounds foreign to you, and you're going, I've never heard of an organizational climate questionnaire. Well, the reason you've probably never heard of an organizational climate questionnaire is because I developed it 35 years ago. And when I developed it 35 years ago, I developed it for my own self. And I developed it to really understand how my people felt about my company and about me, or more importantly, how they felt about themselves within our company. It's a 10-dimension kind of one pager that they fill out, and they put on each dimension where they think we are on a 1 to 10, and then where they think we should be. And one of the big ones, rewards, money, and everything. And most executives go, oh, that's going to be really high. Well, I've done thousands of these, thousands of them. And money's generally number 7 or number 8. And the number 1 thing is generally a feeling of appreciation or feeling of being involved and knowing what's going on. Call it communication. But that being said, your company could be different. So if you have any interest in getting the form, just email me at help@adjunctceo.com, help@adjunctceo.com, and in the email, just put in there, I want a copy of the organizational climate questionnaire. Now, every individual gets one, and then we have them fill out the 10 questions. They circle where they think they want to be with a 1 to 10 and where they think we are as a 1 to 10. And then even in today's electronic age, and by the way, I did it with a SurveyMonkey program and had it electronic and had less feedback because I guess people, especially now, know that you can track anything on a computer. So I still use good old-fashioned U.S. mail. I give them the paper survey, and it's addressed to a post office box, and it's not signed, and they put it in an envelope, so there's no way to know who sent it. And it comes in, and then they're all tabulated. The individual results are borderline, well, they're irrelevant, because if you have 100 employees, and I usually get 80-90% participation because it is confidential, and it is in an envelope that they just throw in the mailbox, and I get great participation. And when it comes in, it's all tabulated. And then out of the tabulations, it creates a kind of average of what everybody expected and an average of what everybody desired. And that average is what it is. And it's a good number. It's a good number. The key number is the delta between what's expected and what and how they think it is. So if you have and everybody goes, oh, everybody's going to put 10s down. Actually, no, they don't. And what's comical about that, it's the delta. So somebody that says it's an 8 is where they see it and they'd like it to be a 6, or they see it as a 6 and want it to be an 8. That's the same person that says they want it to be a 10 and they think it's at an 8. Both of those are 2 deltas. And I don't know why psychologically it tends to be the delta that people see when they're marking it down versus the absolute numbers. So when we're done with it, and if you send in, I'll do this for anybody's company, we'll do this at no charge. Again, help@adjunctceo.com. You get it all tabbed up and it comes back and it's going to tell you the biggest differences between actual and where they want it. And all you do is you manage back to the top 3. And I do it every 6 months. Sometimes I've done it as much out as 12 months. The key is there's always going to be a delta. The better your company is, the lower those deltas will be, but there will always be a delta. And the key is by doing it often, you see those deltas shrink. And as they shrink, you'll watch the performance of your company go up. And not only will your performance of your company go up, the happiness of your team members will go up. And what's funny, as you work internally to build the happiness of your team, that exudes externally. It exudes with your customers, it exudes with your competitors, i.e., their people see you, and their people, when they leave, say, I need to be part of that team. So the survey, the organizational climate questionnaire, is invaluable. And if you want to see one, again, just send me help@Adjunct CEO, and I'll be happy to give one to you. Second, and this is I call the $10 solution. And this is so easy. And when I tell people, especially CEOs that are angsting some, and I ask them this question, I go, do all your associates have a business card? And they go, what do you mean? I said, does the person that's doing accounts payable in your office have a business card? Well, no. Does the guy that's a carpenter on a framing crew, does he have a business card? Well, no, but the foreman does. I said, I didn't ask you that. Does he have one? The woman that is stocking shelves for your little store, does she have a business card? Well, no, she doesn't need a business card. Why would she need a business card? She doesn't need a business card. She doesn't meet anybody. So this is takeaway today. If you when this podcast is over and you never listen to another one, this is takeaway that'll change your world for your company, especially in today's economy where there's low unemployment. I get my business associates a business card, every one of them. If they're a laborer on a landscape crew, they get a business card. If they're an executive, they get a business card, obviously. If they're in accounting or wherever they are, everybody gets a business card with their name on it, our address of our business, just like a real legitimate business card, a box of 500. Now, that box is about a $10 investment at one of your Got Prints or various Vista Prints, different places like that. You can get a box of 500 nice cards for around $10. And once you build a template, you just put names in as new people join you. Somebody goes, well, I get it, but they don't give them out to anybody. I've actually given people a box of business cards. People that have been in the community of the industry I'm in for years, and I give them a box of business cards, and I've had grown men cry. Grown men cry in an industry where nobody cries. And they're so blown away by somebody thinking enough of them to give them a business card. So it's insane. So if every associate of yours doesn't have a business card, I would get a box of business cards for every one of them with their name on it, not one of those blanks where they can write their name on it like a used car dealership used to do, but get them a box of business cards. It's prideful. And guess what happens? Those particular people, especially if they've been in the industry more than a year or two, have more than likely worked at other companies. They know other. So those people, or people that I've done this with, those people know other people in the industry. So they know other people in the industry. And interestingly enough, when they're prideful with your company and all of a sudden they're at a little league game or doing bowling, they're all in the same bowling league because they used to all work for the same company and now they work for 5 different companies and they're all having a rough day or they're telling about how their company's crummy. And your team member goes, well, not at our company. No, sirree. Matter of fact, here's one of my business cards. We all get business cards. They care about us. We're an associate at that company. All of a sudden, they look at them like, really? My lobbies have literally been filled for years in all the businesses I've been in with employees or associates wanting to join us, and they've all come under the recommendation of our existing associates. Now, I'm going to throw you a curveball or ask a crazy question. When one of your associates that's a treasured associate for you recommends somebody, what are the odds they're going to be good team members? Well, I'm going to tell you, try 100%. Because if you've got a good team, they're not going to bring a slacker or somebody that's not going to measure or walk the talk like they do or make them look bad onto the team. So you want to get those business cards out, get them out to them. And if if you have less than 1,000 employees, you have 500 employees, as CEO, I'd make a point of giving them out myself. I'd get in my car, I'd go to the factory or go to the job site or go wherever you go, introduce yourself to them and meet them. And you probably don't know them, but you could hold the box up and say, Sam Johnson. And Sam comes up and you give Sam and say, Sam, thank you so much. Here's your box of business cards. Please represent us. I know you'll represent us as a superstar. Again, when I ask people how many times they've ever gotten a business card in their career in a lot of these positions, the answer is never. How much is that separating you from the rest of the pack? And then thirdly is get accustomed, if you're an executive or you have people working for you, to create the subtle touches to their homes. Get their addresses from your HR department and have handwritten notes and send it on their birthdays, events in their life. If you know they're having an anniversary or something, just drop them a note. Susie, I hope you and your husband have a happy anniversary. Stick it in the mail with a stamp on it. Any kind of events, anniversary of their employment, they've been there 5 years. Send them a handwritten note. It's great to publish it in the newsletter or have a party around the company, but send them a handwritten note to their home. I actually had a gentleman that was quitting one of my companies years and years ago, and one of my vice presidents called and said, so-and-so's quit. He's going to work for the other company for more money. And I go, well, tell him we love him. Tell him we love him because we love everybody. And that night at my house, this is back in the olden days, we had telephones at the house. My phone rang and it was this gentleman's wife. And she called me up to say that her husband had come home and told her that it was okay that he was going to work for a competitor for more money. And she looked at him and said, no, you're not. We don't need the money that bad. This is the best company you've ever worked for. And she was calling me to ask if I could make sure he gets to keep his job. And I said, well, we love him. He needs to get with his vice president over his region. And yeah, we love him. I'm sure he'll work it out, which we did, and he worked out. That's not the story. Year later, I'm up there. I was going around to a lot of our operations, and I was at his last. He said, hey, you got time to come by the house? Because he lived near the operation. And I said, yeah. And so I went by his house. His wife came to the door, and she goes, oh, thank you for coming by. It was a real impromptu call. And she sat me in his Barca lounge in the living room, and while she was getting me iced tea or something to drink, and on his coffee table in a frame was one of my handwritten notes. And that day, I always knew it was important, but that day was like taking a baseball bat and hitting me in the head. Now I knew it really worked. And I know that had to be a precipitator to the fact of why she called my house and asked me if he would stay, and we were the best company he ever worked for. So we're going to do a real brief recap. You want to do a blind survey, and you can get that at help at adjunctceo.com. Get business cards for every associate, not some of them, every associate in your company, cheapest investment you could ever make. And then as a leader in the company or a sales leader in the company, get accustomed to sending congratulatory touches to your associates. Those touches will make them your biggest and best brand ambassadors to find the most awesome people in the marketplace. And you'll never have a retention, you'll never have a solicitation or recruiting issue again. So again, blind survey, business cards to associates, and getting used to the handwritten notes to their house so they feel important. I hope that's some meaningful information, especially for you that had brought up the fact that, if I get increased sales, I can't even service them now. And I would share with you, start creating the love with your teams, and you'll have more associates than you can ever imagine. Your team will screen them, so you don't even have to worry about that. And you'll have the horsepower to grow your company to go back out and take those 3 circles we talked about at the beginning of the show and make more sales and make more money. So everybody have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. If you have any questions or need some help, just email help@adjunctceo.com. Thanks for tuning in.